Hello and welcome to Review the Light. Today we'll be taking a look at the Thrunite TN30. If you want to see the full review, go ahead and click on the link in the description below. So, the TN30 is obviously a large light. So you can see, in reference to my hand, it's very large. It uses three 18650 batteries, has a large reflector with three emitters, through the XML2 emitters here. This is the updated version using those emitters, and you can see that the reflector has some very light texture to it, so it serves to smooth out the beam, which is nice with this reflector design that incorporates the three emitters. It's kind of like three separate reflectors together, so it's nice that the reflector kind of smooths out the edges between those. And up close you'll see that you can kind of tell that there's three separate beams, but then at a distance it just looks like a single source. You can see a lot of heat fins here. This is good. Dissipate the heat, get it away from the emitters out into the air. This is the control ring, and you can see it's got these kind of grooves cut into it. That's great for getting a good grip on the ring, even in cold weather, or if it's wet or slippery or anything. Here you've got some markings. This arrow indicates what mode you're on right now, and then the labels are kind of down here. So here you've got kind of low brightness up to high brightness. Then here you've got standby, and then over here you have the strobe mode. So when you, for example, move the arrow to standby or to strobe, and then it's on the strobe, or standby, it's on standby, and these are the higher brightnesses over here. On the body, you've got some good knurling here. It gives a good grip. The model number, Thrunite logo, and then just some blank flatness there. At the tail, you can see we've got these three raised portions to allow the light to do a stable tail stand, which is handy, but still give good access to the switch. So it's a comfortable, even if you're holding it like this, the comfortable access to the switch. We'll take a look inside. Red O-ring there is a nice touch, kind of looks nice. You can see inside the head, it's got this small spring here to make connection with the battery carrier, and then it does use a battery carrier to handle the three batteries. And at the base, I don't know if you can see that, but there's another spring at the bottom to make a connection with the battery carrier down there. Actually two springs, one large and one small, to make connection with the two contact points. So you can see the battery carrier is made out of metal, a good design. It's very sturdy, it seems so to me. I usually prefer the design that has the batteries directly into slots in the light instead of a battery carrier, but this one seems pretty sturdy. I haven't had any trouble with it. It does certainly make the light lighter overall. Less mass means less weight. So you can see it holds three batteries, three 18650 batteries. It's got a spring for the negative end of each battery and a button here for the positive end, so it will accept flat top cells if that's what you want to use. And it's clearly marked with positive and negative there. But the battery carrier itself actually is designed so that it doesn't matter which direction you insert the carrier, which is kind of nice. So just make sure you get the negative end of the battery with the spring there, and then when you insert the battery carrier, it can go into the light either direction. So I really like the user interface of the TN30. You don't see this control ring in a lot of larger lights, but I really appreciate it. It's one of the most intuitive, in my opinion. So you turn the light on and off using the rear tail switch. So it's a forward click switch. So when you push about halfway down, it just has a momentary on and then turns back off as soon as you release it, or you can click it into position. It'll stay on until you click it again to turn it off. So here we are in the minimum brightness. You can see my arrow pointing to the smaller end of that gradient there, and then as you turn the control ring, each gets brighter, and I apologize for how blue it looks. If you want to see the real tint of the light, you can see it by looking at the beam shots in the picture in the link I'll post. As you step up, it gets brighter each time. I'll pull it back a little bit so you can see. You can kind of tell that there are three beams here, but as you move it back, they all kind of blur together. And there are a few more. You can see a few more beam artifacts around the edges than there would be in a single emitter light. But again, it all smooths out if you're outside and have some long distances. So as I'm turning it up, where's my arrow, and I reach a certain point, and the next is the standby. So at standby, it'll use a minimum power, and you don't want to leave it in standby for long periods of time. It will drain your batteries, but it doesn't use much if you're just using the light and don't want to switch back and forth with your grip. So from standby, you have immediate access to the high brightness, the maximum brightness, or on the other side, the strobe. So yeah, you can leave it in standby, go to high brightness, or crank it down. And this is obviously a high brightness light, so that makes sense. It's a very logical setup, and I really appreciate the UI of the TN30. So this has been the video overview of the Thrunite TN30. Again, check out the link in the description to see the rest of the review, and stick around for a second, and we will take the TN30 outside. Alright, welcome back to Review the Light. We've got the Thrunite TN30 here in the backyard, and we're going to fire it up and see how she does at night. So here it goes. This is the low mode, and depending on the brightness on your monitor, you may be able to see that or not, but it is on there. This is pretty low. So this is what it looks like on low mode. You can see the ground in front of you, and a decent amount. So if it's dark outside, this is probably all you'll need if you don't need to see a lot of detail on anything. We'll just go up a little higher. We'll cycle through. There's a big jump there. And it just keeps getting brighter for quite a ways until there's a standby. So this is the maximum brightness. So we'll check out. You see the tree back there? It's got a fairly wide spot and a lot of flood on this light. You can see around. So yeah, very large field of view. Pretty floody light, so that's great. We'll run through the brightness modes one more time, starting from the lowest. There's a standby, there's a strobe. And it's actually pretty even though my camera seems to have some clipping there. But yep, that's the Thrunite TN30. Thanks again for joining us at Review the Light.